we clergy oftentimes have access to families at their best and families at their worst. When are families at their worst? Usually around weddings, okay? Now, I don't quite understand it, but everybody has an image of what the wedding's supposed to be like, what the naps are supposed to be like, what the color scheme is supposed to be like, what the flowers are supposed to be like. Everybody has an image. Men typically more minimalist. This is a generalization, but I've told men, said, why do you need all that? Okay? And then oftentimes in the heterosexual setting, between the bride and the mother or the mother-in-law, I've been witness to families nearly ripped apart because of all the stake that people have in the wedding. And couples come to me and said, it's supposed to be the happiest day of our lives. Everybody's screaming, everybody's yelling, everybody's angry. They're spoiling it for us. Why does this happen? What I say to them is, when people have a stake in something and somebody else stands in their way, someone says you're wrong, people's emotions escalate. And they suddenly start saying words that they would never use if they weren't so frustrated, anxious, and angry. So when they said to me, I said, you went through a tough moment. They said, tough moment, and they repeated the horror story to me. And I said to them, I don't use the word appalling, which was one of their words, because I've studied history. I've studied the history of the Jewish people. I read the newspapers. I save the word appalling for very specific behaviors that doesn't include hurt feelings in families. I have a different word for that. If you want to use the word appalling, then of course you cut people out. If you want to metabolize and move on, you say, we had a tough moment. Let's all metabolize it, calm ourselves down, and work this thing through. So in this topic that I've been focusing on this week, which is framing, your words unconsciously frame your life. Unconsciously. The higher self can detect the frame, and the higher self can say to the ego self, let's bring this frame down. Let's bring this down to a moderate level. Because if we went through a tough moment, then we can ask ourselves, well, how can we be wiser, more noble, more virtuous? If you use the word appalling about another person, that brings in a whole other cascade of emotions, words, and things that you have to do. So remember, there are facts in the world, but the way we frame them and the narrative we choose is ours. We choose the words, we choose the narrative. We can't change the facts, but we choose the frame. And the frame can make you virtuous or not virtuous. So when I shared with these two people in their 60s, you could choose a different narrative, and then they said, and again, this is very, very common. One reason I'm sharing with you, folks, is this is archetypal. Archetypal meaning I probably hear it every week, and I've heard it every week for as long as I've been on the pulpit. This is my 35th year on the pulpit. Every week I've heard this. Why do I have to be the one to apologize? They're the ones who did the wrong thing. Ever thought that? Ever said it? They wronged me. Why do I have to be the one to show the leadership here? Okay. And so here's that thing I want you to tattoo on the inside of your arm. Okay. Not a real tattoo, a washable tattoo, okay? It doesn't matter what they do. What matters is the kind of person I want to be. Shalom,